If you're losing money and you're a new entrepreneur and you haven't made any sales yet, or you've made very minimal sales and you're doubting yourself and you're tempted to quit, you're not broken. This is the normal dead zone doldrums for businesses. And it actually means that you're getting really close to your business taking off, and it's a good thing. But you have to figure out how to get through this. So let's talk about it. I'm Pandora Saunders. I'm a CPA. I've been working with small to mid-sized businesses since 2006 in public accounting firms. Before that, I was in private accounting, and I've seen what works and what doesn't for hundreds of businesses. So I'm here to help you with that. So let's talk about this a little bit. Simon Sinek has a great way of defining the idea around business and how you should mentally be looking at it. So it's not a win or lose situation. I'm winning a business or I'm losing. It's staying in the game long enough to get good. So what are you doing today that in 2 years is going to make a difference? Now, hopefully it doesn't take 2 years. Hopefully it's like 6 months. Everybody knows what you're doing today is probably going to help you in 6 months because it takes time. And that's one of the things you learn as a new entrepreneur is that things don't happen immediately. They take time. And that's something I've learned as an accountant. So I can talk to a business about how their financials look today. And one of the things that we ask them were really helping them analyze their financials and use it for their benefit, is say, okay, this is where it is today. How are we going to change this in 6 months? And so then we lay out, marketing plan or cutting expenses or increasing expenses, whatever we need to do for them in that case in order to change their business in 6 months. So you have to learn to be patient. And these doldrums are a lot about patience, but it's also the point where you're going to lose most entrepreneurs and businesses are going to fail because they think it's not working. It's not that it's not working, it's that you're in a learning phase at this point. You're trying to figure out what works and build things up to where you start attracting an audience first, because you need an audience before people are going to buy. They have to learn to trust you, and they're going to learn to trust you by becoming part of your audience. And that could be an audience in an email list. It doesn't have to be social media audience. Okay, so if you're not following Alex Hormozi and his wife Layla Hormozi, I would highly suggest that you do that because they have a lot of really good information that I've seen work for a lot of businesses. And one of the things that Alex points out is that your job in this early stage is not necessarily measuring your revenue, it's volume. The volume of work that you're putting in. More calls, more offers, more pitches. You want to be measuring that, not necessarily how much revenue. Though it'll be nice once you do get revenue to be able to start measuring that. So he says, don't do so many reps that it would be unreasonable for you to fail. So if you're looking at somebody, how many reps would you need to see them doing in order to think there's no way that person's going to fail? And that's probably what you want to start doing. The rule of 100, which was made up a long time ago, so you probably have heard of this before. But the rule of 100 is you want to be doing 100 things a day, 100 comments on social media, or 100 cold calls, or spending $100 on advertising for the day. So comments are usually the easiest to do. What you want to do is you want to pick one platform. Don't try to grow more than one platform at a time. That's a big mistake that entrepreneurs make. You need to get to know that platform and build your business on that platform and really understand it before you move on to the next one. I would suggest YouTube or Instagram. They seem to be the best startup ones for professional service firms. So YouTube, Instagram, choose one. You can use LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn doesn't allow you to do the 100 comments. They start thinking that you're a bot. So I found about 75 or so works on LinkedIn if you're going to do it that way. but you should be logging those. What you're going to want to do is have a clear weekly goal, and these are more micro goals, and they're not going to be revenue goals. They're going to be rep goals. So did I do my 100 contacts a day for 5 days? That's your goal. Get in at least that. Or did I spend $100 a day on advertising? Did I follow the rule of 100 5 days in a row? You're going to see that makes a huge difference in your following, not necessarily your revenue at this point, but your following, where you're going to be starting to build trust. Okay. Then you're also going to have some more minimums that you're going to do each day that will push you more towards getting that revenue. And I would not take these things and say, I am going to get revenue from them, because again, you're going to get yourself into the wrong mindset. And when you don't get the revenue, you're going to want to give up. What you're going to want to do is get yourself in the mindset of, I am going to do these minimums every day in order to get my reps in. And what we're looking at is you're going to do 10 DMs. So you're going to DM 10 potential clients. Try to find ones that look good, because that's going to help you identify who actually is good leads and who isn't later. So you're going to be able to pull out those attributes easier as you're looking at them. Do 10 DMs, 10 cold emails, 2 referrals. So ask current clients if you have them. Current contacts are always best. But even if you're reaching out on a cold DM, ask for, make it 12 DMs, and on 2 of them, ask for referrals who could use the services. And there's actually a lot more good information we could do an entire podcast on that about. And you're going to also see if you can get a sales call booked. Now, as you're doing this, you're going to keep a scoreboard that has 3 things on it. You're going to have the leads contacted, how many you've contacted each day, the conversations you started each day, and the offers made each day. And how you're going to keep yourself a little more motivated and see progress is you're going to see if the scoreboard is moving. If it's moving that day, then you're winning that day. These are the goals that you need to set. Do I see movement in numbers? You can also, if you look at your followers on the platform, that can be helpful. However, I want to caution a little bit on that, because it's not necessarily how many followers you have as how many quality followers that you have. So if you've started on like Instagram, you'll have people messaging you saying, hey, can I post your content on my channel for a fee, and you'll get so many followers. Well, if their followers aren't real leads for you, they're not the type of the followers that would buy your services or product, that's not going to do you any good. Your numbers are going to go up, but you haven't come any closer to really nurturing true leads. Okay. Another mindset that you have to have while you're doing this is that you're learning, so you're going to suck. John Maxwell calls it failing forward. You've got to get through the failing forward phase of, you're going to keep doing this forever, but this is going to be a big portion of what you're doing at the moment. And every miss that you make, you're going, rather than beating yourself up about it, you need to look at what worked, what didn't work, and what am I going to do differently tomorrow? That's the biggest one, because if you're not changing your behavior based on what you're learning through this period, then you will never get better and you'll never get through it. So get through it by asking, what am I going to do different tomorrow? What did I learn today that'll affect what I do tomorrow? And it could be like the DMs, the responses you got on your DMs weren't quite what you wanted, and so you want to tweak it a little bit the next day. That's learning. That's learning what wording is helping, what people you're DMing is working. The other thing is that volume is going to open doors. And you're going to create volume in these reps by having systems, templates, processes, and offers. So you need to have a system set up each day where you can automatically fall into doing these tasks. It's very hard when you're getting started to do something new because your brain is still struggling creating the neural pathways that make it seem easier. So for instance, if you are driving home or driving to a store, usually we'll take the exact same route every time, and it may actually feel faster to do this normal route than it is taking another route that might be a minute or two less or less time to get there, because we're just in our head, we know the process, we understand the process, we can fall into that process easier, and we have to learn the new way of going there. Once you create those neural pathways, it's a lot easier to just get up and do the things that you need to do that day and get the volume in there. So if you create the systems and templates and have everything planned out before you do it, you're actually going to remove blocks that make it harder for us to do these on a daily basis. And part of this is also having a focus. So you've got to focus on your one offer, your one signature offer, not 12 random services. You don't want to be jumping to, well, you know what, I really like this, but now I'm getting kind of bored with it, so I'm going to go over here and offer this as well, and we'll offer both. No, you want to have one single offer and focus on that until it starts making money and doing well. Then you can talk about adding on other items. You want to have a simple sales script already written up. You want to have a quick fact document, which will continue to expand and grow as you are doing the DMs and you see the questions that are popping up. You can create that document. You want to have a follow-up system, so 3 to 5 touch points on that, but have it outlined ahead of time. You want one content format you can repeat weekly. So again, it's that one platform, but one format that you can keep going through and say, okay, I got this one done this week. So aim for discipline, not motivation. You are not going to get through this if you're looking for intrinsic motivation. That's silly, because everybody trying to get through something really hard is not going to be motivated intrinsically. They've got to get themselves into systems and have the daily discipline of going through those systems. Create the no decision morning, so you have the same work block, the same order. I'm not huge on times. I think there should be a reasonable time frame to get things done in, but it's more of a system. I do this and it naturally flows into this and it naturally flows into this. So like in my mornings, I get up, first thing I do is have my morning shake and vitamins, and then I hop into the cold plunge, which automatically leads into my cleaning for an hour so that I can warm up moving around after that, which automatically goes into sitting down and starting my social media comments. So if you have that normal routine, what's going to happen is you don't have to necessarily look at the clock for each certain point. You're just getting that next task done and moving on. And the only time you really need to start worrying about the time is if you have a scheduled meeting or if something bigger pops up that's taking you longer. So if I'm in the middle of my house cleaning and I have to scrub something off the floor, I don't know, for some reason it takes a long time, I might then look at the time and say, okay, do I have time for the rest of the house tasks today or not, before I get started on work. Or you might get an email from a client and it's going to take you a lot longer to answer than normal. And so then you might need to look at, okay, do I need to create a separate work block elsewhere? Which work blocking is a whole another podcast as well. But just make it a one item flows into the next item morning, where you're not having to make decisions about what to do next or plan out your morning right then. It's already done for you. That removes the friction and helps you get through it. You can also use timers during this time. For instance, you have to do 25 minutes of outreach before you're allowed to tweak the branding at all. That way you're not hopping from one to another with all of your different scripts and changing things based on one outcome. You're actually going to see if it's a pattern or not before you start tweaking things. Marshall Goldsmith also has this ask for feed forward idea. He says, don't ask mentors, what did I do wrong? Instead, he says, give me 2 suggestions for what to do next. And I love this idea. So for instance, he'll take to the mentor, here's my offer. What's one improvement I can make to this process? So what's going to happen when you do that is when you actually talk about what to improve, you're automatically going to be talking about what you did wrong because you're tweaking what was wrong. And you're giving yourself an actionable step to improve and get better. Or another example, here's my pitch. What's one thing you'd cut and one thing you'd add? So it naturally leads into here's how you can get better, and it gives you that actionable step, which is really what you need at this point. You need some way to make progress and make you feel like you're getting somewhere, because if you're just looking at revenue and it's close to zero, you're going to be so frustrated because there's no win. There's no getting better in that area. You've got to look at where you're getting better. So feed forward concept, it's really good. Entrepreneurs, so I actually have a speech that I do on this called Entrepreneurs Are Crazy, and that's why we love them. And one of the things that I point out is that entrepreneurs have to be naturally, or I shouldn't say naturally, but they need to be resilient. They've got to be their own trampoline that bounces everything back up whenever they're falling low. And it's a crazy thing to do, especially if you don't have a big support system, which I suggest you get one. And that's a whole nother discussion too about how you grow into the group that you need around you. But entrepreneurship is uncertainty plus exposure plus rejection. You've got to be uncertain. You're failing forward at this point. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there, even though you're uncertain, and you've got to expose yourself to the world, and you've got to be rejected. It has to happen that way for you to improve and to be a true entrepreneur, but you've got to be able to spring right back. It's crazy, but it's how, if you're going to get through this is what you're going to do. So I'm probably mispronouncing it, Brené Brown has a framing that vulnerability is showing up when you can't control the outcome. And that's the truth. It's just getting out there and doing it again and again. You can't control the outcome. You can keep tweaking and getting better, but you're going to look stupid at first. Everybody looks stupid as an entrepreneur at first. So ask yourself, what's the next smallest brave action that I can take in 10 minutes? That will actually help you. If you ask yourself that question every day and you just take that 10-minute step, that can actually make a big difference with a lot of people. So what I want to do is challenge you for the next 7 days to do each day 10 outreach attempts, make one offer, and log one lesson of what you learned today and how it's going to change your step tomorrow. So as Tony Robbins suggests, problems acknowledged equals energy goes to solutions and actions. So acknowledge your problems, change what you're going to do. All right, I hope that helped you today. If it did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.